Why, hello there. At the time of recording, it is 119 days until the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC comes out, and this is the Elden Wait countdown, where every day until the Shadow of the Erdtree releases, I'll be talking about the upcoming expansion to make the wait just a little bit shorter. This is part 2 about our discussion of the Land of Shadow, the setting for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, in which we will talk about the scope and design of the DLC's map. If you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend watching part 1 where we talk about the facts about the Land of Shadow. The information in this video is coming from official Shadow of the Erdtree pages, as well as 3 interviews Miyazaki did with IGN, Eurogamer, and Famitsu. Let's get into it. The setting for the DLC is the Land of Shadow, a place displaced from the lands between and obscured by the Erdtree. The Shadow of the Erdtree replaces the Erdtree of the lands between as the landmark looming overhead, as well as veils that symbolize the obscured nature of this place. But y'all know that because you already watched part 1. The Shadow of the Erdtree expansion will feature an entirely new map that is separate from the main game, and will require a warp of sorts to reach it, in the words of Miyazaki. This warp of sorts seems like it will follow FromSoft's tradition of having a hand pull you into the DLC. The entrance to the DLC is confirmed to be Miquella's cocoon with his outstretched arm, located in Mohg's arena in the Mogwin Palace. Miyazaki told Famitsu that in order to access the DLC, players will need to defeat Mohg, obviously, but also Starscourge Radahn. Radahn is an interesting caveat, and I would guess this is a thematic conceit relating to the fate and unshackling the stars, as well as a meat wall to make sure players are beefy enough to brave the Land of Shadow. The map of the expansion will contain everything you'd expect from the world, with an open world, large-scale legacy dungeons, and medium and small dungeon. You can see the fundamental design of the lands between employed in the trailer, with the Shadow Tree as the constant focal point, and a number of distinct landmarks to orient players and entice them onward. But it doesn't sound like From Software was content to simply do more of the same with Shadow of the Erdtree's world design. Miyazaki told Eurogamer, "This time we wanted to go more in depth and bring a denser and richer level design, which brings these types of layout together a little more seamlessly. There of course will be large open areas, there of course will be legacy dungeons, but we've also experimented with something a little more in between these as well to bring a more diverse gameplay experience. In the base game, the transition from the open world to dungeon is generally instantaneous, so it'll be interesting to see how they blur the lines between these sorts of environments in Shadow of the Erdtree. In the trailer, we see a number of sprawling structures, and I wonder if any of these might function more as a castle space like we've seen with Castles Morn or Sol, but on a larger and more open scale that allows the use of Torrent to move around the grounds generally, while still needing to dismount to explore interior spaces or navigate certain terrain. As for the scale of the map, Miyazaki loosely compared it to the size of Limgrave. This has been a point of debate with a myriad of different reactions to this information, but I don't really think it means a whole lot, especially considering the quote we just discussed. Any area in Elden Ring, but with more depth and denser, richer level design that more seamlessly weaves the open world and dungeons, gets my interest. Hard stop. Quality over quantity is always my preference, and it sounds like we're going to get both with Shadow of the Erdtree. The trailer and stills have me hopeful, with a variety of different looking biomes and a world design that sprawls both outward and upward. And of course, at least one of the areas shown off is a swamp, and a Deathblight swamp from the looks of it. Eurogamer asked Miyazaki about his trademark inclusion of a swamp, to which he responded, "In a word, yes. But this was actually a point of introspection for me after creating the base game. It was only after creating it that I realized I really like to create poison swamps. And this was a little place of introspection and reflection for me. So maybe when players reach the poison swamp in the DLC, it will feel a little bit of this retrospection. I look forward to reflecting in Miyazaki's latest Blight Bog." And finally, Miyazaki confirmed with Eurogamer that there will be over 10 new boss fights. Considering that the old Hunters had 5 bosses, and the Ring City and Ashes of Ariando had a combined total of 6 bosses, I'd say that the Shadow of the Erdtree's 10 plus bosses is a good indication that this DLC will give us plenty to chew on, and plenty to chew on us. And there you have it, what we know about the scope and design of the Shadow of the Erdtree's map. How do you feel about the scope of the DLC and FromSoft's more seamless design approach? Let me know in the comments. As mentioned in the last video, the Elden Wait is more of a conversation than a lecture, and I wanted to share a comment. Salty Bananas 30 says, Buddy hasn't cut his hair since Fia ran her hands through that shit. Incredible, thank you. I do need a haircut. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to follow along with the Elden Wait, please subscribe to the Lore Hunter to make the wait just a little bit shorter. Thanks for watching.